here we are right now with the presidential election, and we have our Democratic nominee doubling down on red baiting, on McCarthy era type rhetoric based on conjecture and belief of certain agencies. So last night during the debate, Secretary Clinton escalated the conversation about Russia. And as editorial board, we Progressive Army. If you guys aren't familiar with what our structure is, we have all our different shows. The Louisa Project, Benjamin Dixon Show, The Way with Anoa, and Project Sanity. But we also have our media, our journal, the Progressive Army, and progressivearmy.com. And we just restructured in our editorial board. And I'm about to pull up so I can make sure I get everybody's titles and stuff correct. But we were going back and forth about this whole, piece, this conversation about the WikiLeaks, because WikiLeaks has been overshadowed, and all anyone can say is, but Russia's interfering, and that's our piece today that we just put out this afternoon. Keep calm and blame Russia. And in it we discuss this whole piece, like, okay, Russia may or may not have done X, Y, and Z, but that does not negate the fact that the content of the information is a valuable public information, and it's real. Like this is how people who want to govern and who are governing are engaging in deceitful practices behind the scenes. And everybody can say this is politics as usual. That's the way it is, blah, blah, blah. But that's not okay. That's unacceptable, in fact. We can't just say we want change. We can't say that we're actually, as progressives, right? For progressives to say, oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, that's the way things are, blah, 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 blah. We can't say that we want open government, that we want to have representative, democracy of the people, for the people, by the people, but then say, oh, yeah, it doesn't really matter. That was their personal emails. I mean, that's how everybody does it anyway. Everybody's been doing it this way, and things are not any better for me and you, right? So if they're doing crooked stuff and cutting deals for each other and themselves, how do we sit by and just allow that to continue to happen without demanding change for us? And so I like I said before, I agree with Professor Lessig in his blog pieces. He talks about how he felt that the stuff that in the emails that pertains to, that is of public import, that is fair game for being released. The fact that there may have been something impermissible in how the information was obtained does not negate the veracity and relevance of the actual information itself. Those are two separate, conversations. And so one of the things that we get into in our editorial, definitely please check it out, read, share, and get it around, is the fact that the Democratic Party, instead of taking responsibility and accountability for what has come out, for the heavy-handed nature, for the blatant collusion that has happened, right, even before the primary even began, from Bernie Sanders being set up in conversations with women senators, and then they leaked that to the press, like all types of machinations and stuff that have happened to manipulate and position Secretary Clinton to be, the winner, including, the shaping of the debate schedule, the freezing him out of the media, like all types of stuff happen. And then now we see, things happening even leading to the general election cycle that absolutely do matter, because these are people who are going to be presumably part of the chief, part of her staff. These are people who are apparently, when we look at the Podesta emails that have come out, I think we're on batch 12 or 13. It's going to come out now. We look at the Podesta emails. I think it's batch 12. We look at the Podesta emails. Apparently John Podesta handpicked pretty much all of President Obama's cabinet. So we know these people behind the scenes have a certain degree of power and engagement in our system. So yes, we are absolutely entitled to knowing what they're doing, how they're doing it, and who they're doing it with. Now, the fact that Russia may or may not have been behind it is a separate issue that needs to be addressed. However, one of the things we note is this conversation around Russia without actual proof, and some have said that actually the leaks were caused by actually U.S. nationals, not Russians, right? I mean, they've said IP addresses may have bounced off or wherever, but whatever. I mean, they also told us there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. We saw how that turned out. So Forgive us if we're not in this rush to believe the Russians are behind this. And you know, they're like, oh my God, we've never had a country interfere in an election the way they have. When did Bibi came to, not only did Bibi come to the United States and speak to Congress, Bibi came and circumvented our president on the eve of his own election. And wasn't this ahead of our midterms or around that same time? I mean, like Israel, absolutely. Israeli donors, right? Haim Saban, for example, that he is her number one donor. I mean, basically, he dictated that she write the anti-BDS open letter that she wrote last summer. So to say that we don't have foreign powers, and quite honestly, I mean, if corporations are people, then they count, you know, as an evil or power or whatever, right? So these big corporate donors. So to say that this has never happened, that it's unprecedented, is absolutely untrue. It's just never happened against them, right? In favor of the people. And so I don't make any, you know, statements about, you know, how noble these efforts is. I have no clue. And I'm not even going to pretend like I know why this information is being released. I assume it's being released for the sake of releasing the information because people have a right to know. We do have a right to know that Neera Tanden, who is someone who is closely affiliated and connected to the chain of command, is a very mean person in her emails and talks stuff about a lot of other, you know, people that we're supposed to believe you're supposed to be working with. Like, how can we actually believe that you're going to address issues that you snicker about or say you don't want to address in private? Like, this goes back to the notion of the private public conversation as well. I know you guys are trying to call in. We're having an issue with Skype connecting tonight, and that's how the calls come in. So keep trying, and we'll try to get to you. But if you don't, so we're having, like I said, we're having a problem with Skype coming in. But here's the other thing. Like, we have, like I've showed you guys before, your podcast exists for you guys to use. So if you ever want to sound off, you can. I'll get the number put up again later in the show. You guys can sound off whatever's on your mind, whatever's going on. But we decided as an editorial board, like I said, we decided to come together. Ben is our editor-in-chief. Our managing editors are Salam Marcos and David Grossman, also my producer. Editors at large are myself and Michael Salomon, and our senior writers are my mind is going blank. JP Rankin and Michael Redwine. So yeah, so definitely looking for the relaunch of the new site. But we released this piece today as a group because we really felt it was important to send a message about this issue, because while it is true that, you know, if another government is actually engaging in disruptive activity, then that does need to be handled. But at the same time, we cannot act like somehow that trumps the veracity and the validity of the content itself. Because let's be clear, no matter how much Joyanne Reed wants to, you know, retweet the Daily News bin and cite sources that aren't valid and trustworthy, right? But every time Secretary Clinton, you notice, every time she gets asked a question about, every time any of them get asked a question from the substance of an email, either they answer it, Secretary Clinton answers them. Always. She goes, oh yeah, I remember. That was specifically, oh, you remember, huh? So that tells me that email, that batch is valid. But also, you know, they automatically try to deflect. They're not saying, I mean, and they try to say there are some, the language has been used that some may be falsified, not all, but whatever they saw, whatever was out there that was false or fabricated was something that somebody else inserted. You know, it's not anything that has been, because if you go through the WikiLeaks database, everything has source code, everything has links, you know, it's all there. And WikiLeaks has 100%, you know, everybody loved WikiLeaks when it was going against the Bush administration, when they were doing other stuff. People were like, well, why aren't they going against Republicans? Well, in this election cycle, this is the way information is coming out. I mean, maybe somebody needs to hack the Republicans to give them some information. I don't know. WikiLeaks themselves doesn't get it. They just put it out there, so maybe you need to talk to some hackers to get them to hack the. I mean, what do we need to know about what's going on with Republicans? They are a crap show falling apart in front of our very eyes. The transparency, unfortunately, is there. I wish we didn't see so much of what's going on with Republicans. But with the Democrats, on the other hand, we have this moral superiority that's being shoved down our throats as if somehow that they are the only thing, to quote Secretary Clinton from New York Magazine, only thing between us and the apocalypse, when in fact they are highly problematic in their own right. And they're not going to get better magically just because they win. All these organizations and these groups and individuals who get behind them, like, yes, we just have to get in line. We just have to get behind them. And we just have to do this because we have to beat Trump. What happens on November 9th when they got their people who were with them from jump, not all the rest of you who opposed them at first? You really think that because you came over from Bernie Sanders and you went to her side, if your organization, you really think that you're going to get adequate play and voice? Really? That's a vindictive crew. We see that from them emails. And if you wasn't rolling with them from jump, we're not going to get a seat at the table, and we're not going to be welcomed with a blessing. I don't want a seat at the table. Right? Honestly, I don't want you to give me anything. Because when somebody gives you something, there's always some expectation that they owe you. They own you, right? You owe them something because they gave you. I think about my mama all the time. Well, because I did this for you when you were a baby. I was a baby. How are you talking to me about how you made me organic baby food? I didn't ask you to do that. You did it on your own. I digress. But the piece is awesome. It's up on the website now. We've all tweeted it out. Definitely check it out and read it. And check out more. I mean, it was cool going through the process of doing the editorial with everyone. But really, part of even that statement that she made one of our biggest issues too was that statement, right? The fact check, ABC fact checked that it's true, but it's inaccurate. It's actually, Salam and I researched it earlier. It's inaccurate. So what it is she said 17 intelligence agencies have confirmed. No, they said that the word was not confirmed. They said they basically said that they strongly believed. Now that they had evidence and some of that funny language Colin Powell used, seriously. I mean, that's immediately what I think of when we're talking about, do we take action against another country and we have some shaky evidence? I think of, going back to going into Iraq with the weapons of mass destruction. Like when we believe, we think, we have credible information that suggests. That's not really what I'm willing for us to send people to die for, because you think. I'm not willing for you to kill other people really over any of this either. So what it is the 17 agencies make up what they call the intelligence community. And it was a joint statement. What this really comes from is a joint statement from Department of Homeland Security and the head of one of the intelligence agencies. So even though it's a committee of 17, it was really a statement from heads of two agencies. And what was said was they believe, not that they know, not that they have credible information, that they believe based on whatever they have based on. It was real flowery, basically amounts to a whole load of nothing. And if it comes out that it was Russia, okay, it comes out it was Russia. Russia engaged potentially in cyber activity against the United States. Guess what? The United States is the largest cyber bully on the planet Earth. It's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. Do better.